coming to you live from an upload speed of 1.17 megabytes per second. It's time for Destiny Down Under.
G'day and welcome to, it's not even an episode number, it's an auspicious event. Auspicious? How do you say that word, Matt? What's the deal with it?
Oh, you know me. You don't ask me how to pronounce it.
Don't ask Matt how to pronounce anything. Auspicious evening. I'm just going to candle after. It's, we're happy to be here because we get to do this like once a year where we get to dive in and do a monster recap on a showcase. And this is like the best day to be a Guardian, right? Like this is the day. If anyone's ever going to get drawn into the orbit of Destiny, it's days like today. And I'm looking at you, Matt. It's been a big day for Matt on a couple of counts. Like one, you were up it.
Look, I watched the showcase live.
Yeah.
And then at midnight, and then I went back to bed, had some sleep, and got up, did a stream, played a little bit of the new season.
Yep.
And then rewatch the showcase again
to go through
detailed lore notes.
So it's been a day. It's normally
been a day.
New seasons have always kicked your ass, with the exception of the last one because little Leo came along and happy days.
Yeah,
that's not been a cakewalk either. So holy shit, where to start? Lightfall, I guess, right off the top. We don't have time to muck around, right? We don't have time to muck around tonight. We need to dive right in because we have a special pre-recorded interview with Chris Proctor that we're going to run in its entirety for this, and it goes for over an hour. So this could very well set the record for the longest DDU episode ever.
And to set the record for Chris Proctor, this was recorded over the weekend. So it was before Arc 3.0, and there was a bunch of stuff we couldn't know or couldn't ask about. But what that did allow us to do is get some OG lore about Chris Proctor, how he got into game dev, and more sort of general game development like questions.
Yeah.
I think you enjoy it.
I mean, look, if you're jumping into this, into our podcast for the first time and you've not been here before and you're expecting to get something like the firing range Chris Proctor interviews where we're going to talk about like percent flinch and shit like that, no. I mean, no. that's not who we are, and it's not what we're about. And they do a perfectly good job of that too, so there's no need to double up. Excellent dudes. So that's coming up in a little while. We'll run that, and you'll be able to feast on it. Maddie, where do you want to start? How do you want to tackle this beast of a showcase that we received today?
Well, look, my initial reaction to the Lightfall trailer.
Yes,
I was like, this is not our system. This is not Sol. This is not Earth. It's fallen. That was what I thought.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this pristine cyberpunkin world?
Yep. Where is this place? We've turned up somewhere else. That was what I'm like. Where is this immaculate, perfect city been hiding through several collapses now at this point? And I mean, we didn't have to wait too long to fucking find out, did we?
Yeah, so it's Neptune.
Yes.
I watched all the post interview as well, and apparently a ship, just during the collapse escaped.
Yep. Went
to Neptune, and just like started a parallel hidden civilization.
Yeah, the secret metropolis of Neomuna.
Neomuna.
It's gonna take a while. It does sound like somewhere you'd want to go on holidays if you lived in Australia, though. Yeah, we're going off to Neomuna.
Yeah. You know the cool thing though is I have lore for you.
Yeah, right.
Do you remember me video about Nepheli strongholds?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna lie and say yes.
At the end of Witch Queen, when you completed the evidence board, you got this really random message. And it was about Rasputin, and it was about a secret colony called Nepheli Stronghold. And that's all we've got. Nepheli is the goddess of the clouds. Guess who the heroes are of L-
Yeah.
Neomuna.
Neomuna. I'm like just what are their names? What tell us?
Cloud Striders.
Cloud Striders.
So this could be the secret. This could be the secret colony that Rasputin deleted all the information about, which is why no one knew about it. I mean, we probably should have checked Neptune. Like, we're probably flying past. Are we flying past? Where's Neptune? Do we go past it?
I don't know.
Wait,
I'm gonna need to consult my year 4 solar system model and just figure out how many times we've ignorantly flown past this planet. I'm pretty sure it's closer than wherever Marisov and that hang out.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe it isn't.
Anyway,
maybe you're right. I've got no idea. People are already shaking their heads.
Just basically a whole civilization on Neptune in this skyscraper metropolis.
It looks beautiful. It looks incredible. I've seen a lot of people memeing today about it's cyberpunk Destiny and all of that sort of stuff. But I think more than that, and importantly, we did need it. We needed just a pretty place, right? Because we've done Witch Queen, very hive heavy, as much as it was sort of more beautiful and ornate version of the thing, it was still the thing, right? Where this is a fresh palette. And for whatever reason, from nearly the moment they come in the trailer where they come out of that shattered glass, it just reminded me of Ninja Turtles. And I don't know why. And then I've seen other people
said that. Yeah.
Other people saying the same thing. I think Riss made a cracking video, little video about it, setting it to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme. But for whatever reason, it's just, and I mean, look, if you're gonna pin me down and make me love something, that's probably a pretty good way to do it. So
yeah, people have mentioned Aphrodite's place, but I think Aphrodite's place is a bit further out. The pacifist colony is in the outer rim, so I don't think it's Aphrodite's place.
Looking at the Cloud Striders, they don't look particularly pacifist either. Just that's not a word I would use. They look pretty staunch. I've seen some people frothing on them on the internet already. Yeah. Just they're gonna be I don't know. I suppose the new Crow.
We can talk about them now as well. I guess the only other thing I was going to say about this space is that that's exactly what Joe and the devs said was we built swamps. You've been through ruins. You've trudged through swamps. Wanted something a little bit different, and I think this opens the door for just anything. And Rolk put his foot in the door. You're like, oh shit! Different species. Yep. Different alien, that really started to open the sci-fi door.
Yep.
And then this is just FBI open up, kick it in.
Yeah, they've just breached the door of you know what, we'll do whatever we want and you'll like it. And to be honest, they're fucking right. So there's no complaint there. So Callus just turns up. Right at Neomuna, he knew it was there. Apparently, he figured it out before we did.
There's that. I guess we don't really know how Callus worked out it was there, or the witness did. But I mean, I guess not really spoilers. Sort of spoilers. Did you notice during the showcase, Osiris is in the background on one of the banners?
I did. So I actually saw a picture of someone had cropped it out and tweeted it out.
And then when Lorraine was talking about the Collector's Edition, she mentioned how Osiris needs to talk to Akora. Ooh. If you then go to the Bungie store page, let me read it to you.
You've done a lot of, read it to me, but you've done a lot of sleuthing today, and I just want it known that
I've done 12 hours of sleuthing.
I'm impressed, right?
You are benefiting from fucking 12 hours and about 400 people in Twitch chat feeding me information.
Yeah. Mylan he's reached his peak of Charlie Day in front of the
Yeah. This is what it says on the Bungie store.
Yep.
The witness's arrival is imminent. To prepare for this inevitable battle, the Vanguard shares Empress Keidel's insights into Callus's psyche with you. Study Akora's notes about Osiris's vision of hope on Neptune and discover the possible link with the Exo Stranger's mysterious poker. Okay, so listen to this.
Poker.
Let me explain, Locke.
It's the fish, isn't it?
Yes.
So
this one paragraph not only confirms Osiris will wake up, But he's likely the reason we go to Neptune. He has some sort of vision of Neptune, which is probably why we go there and investigate, and then discover Callus is already invading it. And they name the fish Apoka, and it is Pouka, and it is linked to this cybernetic area. So this is probably the origin story for the fishies.
Right. And of course, because she's a time traveler, she's already been there and collected her fish back, who knows when. Cool.
And obviously it fits, right? The fish fits in aesthetically straight away to that area. So we're probably going to get for some fish lore. And there is some fish lore already on the auto rifle that you can get right now.
Yeah.
The exotic.
Yep.
For the pre-order. You pre-order the
so if you
Lightfall.
pre-order the Lightfall, you can get an in-game exotic right now, which I hope that it isn't just insane. I feel like if it's too powerful, people will not view that particularly fondly. They'll feel like they're being forced to hand over their cash for it. But beyond that, I think
and the interesting thing about Neomuna as well is how they I'm gonna turn this down. I'm gonna get notifications on Marlin games.
It's okay. I can't hear any of it.
Yeah, but see, I can't do two things at once. I can't talk.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're good.
And I either got to turn it down and just talk to you, and then turn you back up when you talk. Joe Blackburn, because it's meant to be a Metropolis, right? So where's all the people?
True.
And he said basically right up until the moment you step foot in there that it was populated. So they've either all been evacuated because Callus was invading, or
they've all been
vaporized. I don't know.
Cloud Strider napped. They've all been kidnapped by Daddy Callus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Neptune.
Right. So that's where we're going. That's the big takeaway from obviously it's building towards a showdown with Callus at the very least. So I mean, God.
Oh yeah, you want to know about Callus? What do you know about Callus?
Tell me, give me some tidbits about Callus. Right?
Oh, I'm testing you. What do you know about Callus?
What I know
from
about
Season
Callus?
of the Haunted, yeah.
From Season of the Haunted. I know that he's on a big spooky ship covered in ghost stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that he's now, I don't know, has he become a fully fledged witness? Is that the assumption that we're making here? Because the trailer, it seems like, now he's got his cabal, but they're being reinforced by what we would call darkness,
Disciple,
powers that clearly come from the witness. So
Disciple?
Yes, that was what I mean. Yes. Not a witness, a disciple.
Yeah,
my bad.
So Joe Blackburn confirmed that he is a disciple, and remember that Callus's body probably shouldn't exist. Like, he had transferred his consciousness into the Leviathan and then into the Lunar Pyramid, so he shouldn't really be around. So the fact that we see fleshy Callus, D Flawless asked, "Is this real Callus or robot Callus?" And they're like 97% sure, real Callus. I think this is Callus reborn as a disciple.
So
yeah, just like Rolk was remade. He had a glow up.
I mean, to be fair, Callus hasn't had much of a glow up, if that's what he's going to look like. He basically looks like the same version of himself, except with no shirt on.
Yeah, he could do with a bit more glow.
Yeah, he needs the glow up. Hopefully, he's got a bitchin' suit of armor or something cool that he can jump in. Because
hopefully,
don't want to have to fight a shirtless Callus. It'd be too distracting.
Yeah, it's like the bathers or whatever from the Leviathan.
Yeah, it'd just be like an angry bather from the Leviathan. You're
just hoping the towel doesn't fall off.
Yeah, burn your right retinas forever.
So he's leading. He didn't just get the glow up. His whole army, which
savage.
are called the Shadow Legion, are all pyramid tech as well.
Yeah, they're all wearing black. They're all looking very, very serious. So, and what was the name of it's escapes me now. The new unit. Huh?
I know you can do it. Remember the name?
I can't remember the name. It's fucking
Tormentors.
Yes. Yeah, I mean they sound friendly.
They look like Dark Soul bosses.
Dave Samuel saying they wanted to make an enemy that when basically it turns up you kind of shit your pants. I think that carries some weight because there's not much turns up in Destiny right now where you're like, ooh, shit, you know, like most things you just kill them. Where I hope there's a bit of a genuine pant crapping moment whenever these bad boys turn up.
They're probably going to be champions too because they got the champion thing on them.
Yeah, true, right.
Like to unstop and whatever.
Maybe they'll tie that into some lore. Maybe we'll finally get some lore on why champions exist. Hey,
but they're like once again another new, essentially the pyramid ship race, I guess, enemy.
Yeah. They're not even particularly rolky, are they? They're kind of like something else again.
The devs called them the pyramid ship unit. So, or the pyramid unit or something like that.
Pyramid unit. There we go.
Absolute unit.
I look forward to killing them. I mean, in a friendly way, like in a recreational sense. It's going to be. I didn't want that to come off too savage, but it's the truth, you know. Like we will not labor on that. All right. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that we're missing?
We haven't talked about the Cloud Striders yet.
I mean, where do they come from?
Well, we've got more information on it. Once again, I tell you, I've been sleuthing all today.
You know what? Look, we probably need this. Like, we're going to blast through like the bullet points of the cool stuff.
The other stuff's not going to take too long.
Seasons, but
so we saw the Cloud Striders. They are like a guardian mirror image. They're the guardians of Neptune, and unlike guardians, they're not immortal. They only live for 10 years.
10 years.
Yes, their life is shortened by the cybernetics they use.
Wow.
So apparently they're extremely powerful. They tower over Guardians. So they're taller than Guardians, according to Joe.
But they're only 10 at the most.
No, they're not. They only no, they're not. But they're not born. Oh my god, they're not born Cloud Striders. Okay, they're not born. They volunteer for the position,
and then they're for 10 years.
Yeah, and then once they're all cybernetic up, then they only live for 10 years.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Be interested because it's
I'm very interested actually. I was just very concerned that we were going to be dealing with like absolutely jacked, giant, shredded 10-year-olds because that's fucking terrifying. I was almost more scared of them than tormentors, right? And I don't think that's the intention here.
It's like a big Hulk baby, just like slamming people on the ground.
Yep.
So the Cloud Striders, you know, they're not chosen by the light. They volunteer for it. So that's like the juxtapositioning with Guardians. Guardians are immortal. They only live for 10 years. Guardians are chosen. They volunteer. So they've mentioned how Guardians are hopefully going to learn some lessons from the Cloud Striders. So, you know, I'm assuming that they are going to be an ally and we're going to team up with them to take on Pyramid Ship, Callus, enemies, etc.
They do. They give off, like, to me, just as a pure pundit, they kind of remind me of like Valkyries or something like that. You know, like Norse Valkyries. Like they'll, you know, that I don't know. I mean, they're not wearing much armor really either, are they? You know, like you can kind of compared to us, we're immortal, mind you, and we're still wearing armor from head to toe, and they're kind of turning up with their shirt off, going like,
I'm
only here for 10 years anyway. Do your worst, whatever.
They're the like classic MMO like epic gear, you know, that's like a bikini.
Yeah, the better the gear gets, the smaller it gets. Before you end up just in a gilded G-banger, just anyway,
a couple double pluggers and you're away.
A couple of double pluggers down the beach, you're laughing. Right, what else? What else is in the trailer? Tell me stuff. More stuff.
Well, you know what we had. You know, you're lucky I'm here to keep you on track. You know what we haven't talked about?
What? I can tell about 10
Strand.
things. Yeah, of course.
The new darkness subclass.
So for me, like, what did you take out of this when you first saw it? Because I saw a leak of this, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I thought maybe not, and like it was just a still image. I didn't see. Obviously, I didn't. I saw the. You know, probably half the people here had it spoiled for them, and I'm like, maybe it's real, maybe it isn't. What was your first takeaway when you actually saw it? When I saw
the grapple hook, I was like, okay, I guess they're making all new PvP maps.
Well,
that fucks everything.
Give everyone fucking hats to wear so they can't get shot from above.
So that was the first thing I thought was, man, they must have something in the pipes to either that or apparently maybe the maps work really well with grapple hooks, because with Strand, the whole idea is you essentially pull on the strands of the universe, the matrix,
sort of the strings holding the universe together. You're manipulating that. Once I heard it explained, I'm like, no, I'm sold on this. I mean, and Spider-Man swinging, who doesn't want to do that to begin with? But as for the rest of it, I like it.
Pretty much, you're Spider-Man. You can swing through this metropolis, and you don't need to attach to anything. You can just swing on. There's no anchor point required
because you're always attached to the universe. It's fucking sweet.
Yeah,
strings of the universe.
And it is interesting how they describe this because it is a darkness power, and the way they talk about darkness is very different from sort of OG Destiny. It's like, Dave, old mate Dave, old mate Dave, sound effect Dave, said light abilities are like creation, and then I was expecting him to say, and darkness is about destruction, and he says darkness is about consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and like that's a bit like the egregore, how everything's connected together, and this is a darkness subclass which you're pulling about strands which connects everything together. So, and it's also described as like a psychic energy. So, they're obviously moving away from the whole light, good, darkness, evil kind of thing, and I think Strand adds to that with a lot more complexity. What like darkness is and defining darkness.
I don't think that it even ascribes to that classic sort of like good bad even remotely anymore now, because this isn't like it may well be something that you could more easily manipulate in a sinister way, maybe, I don't know, but I mean, you could light someone on fire with a hammer, and that seems pretty evil to me too. So I don't know. I'm happy enough with it though. Like, just the concept of it. I've often wondered this as just, as a quick aside, like if you ever stop and like, obviously now we're thinking about, well, what's the third and final darkness subclass? I had no idea where they'd go with this, like from stasis. I'm like, maybe stasis was it. Maybe stasis and like the tie into entropy and all of that. Maybe that's just the only one. But now we're seeing this and green. I don't know what color the third one will be.
What's left?
I don't know.
Pink, purple.
Maybe like a dark, nasty red. What do you reckon? We've got orange, maybe red, maybe.
I think there are already some effects that use the red color though, isn't there?
I don't know. I mean, look, that's why they get paid the big bucks, and we're just here talking about it, right?
Yeah.
We'll never know. I'm very excited for it though, and I think that anything that adds to like to the utility. I mean, you think about. I mean, I'll play a Titan. Everyone knows that, so I'm forever like just shoulder charging, just as a mobility aid around the map, right? Like it's just part of my movement. You add Spider-Man swinging. Like, how are you going to get off this subclass ever again? Like, it's going to be the Traveler's subclass. Like, and I don't mean the big ball. I mean, if you're traveling anywhere, you're going to be you.
Well, I think it's going to come down to if there's what the cooldown is and stuff like that.
True. Man.
I'm imagining you can't just like
endlessly
in PvP. You can't probably just keep
just swinging, boys. Yeah. Just like old mate skateboard.
I don't know if it's going to be tied to. It must be tied to an ability, like an ability cooldown.
Yeah, you think so? Like some kind of dodge or one of the new dodges, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because originally it was a hunter specific move.
That would have been. I would have been mad when they said that. I'm like, yeah, there would have been a riot. Like,
yeah, and they're like, no, we can't just give this to hunters. Uh-oh.
The only people who will say that, hunters, they'll be like, no, it would have been fine. It would have been balanced.
It would be good, bro.
We need that. We would have used it responsibly. It's fine.
Yeah. But the supers themselves, the hunter has like that a rope with a knife on the end.
It's like a rope dart. Yeah.
Yeah, rope dart. Yep.
Or a butt plug on a string.
True.
It's all right. It's after 9 o'clock. We can talk about that.
Got him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, in Australia it is.
True.
The Titan is like a Beyblade. Let it rip.
True. Yep.
They just spin around.
Yep.
And the Warlock shoots like javelins, really, like javelin.
Yeah.
Spears of
It reminds me of like like, you know, when you go spear fishing, like you've got like you. I mean, it's not something I've done for 20 years, but you've got your little harpoon that's got all the spears coming off the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, go and look at a picture of it. You can jump to your own conclusions.
Is that all we know about Strand? I think that's the main bits about Strand.
I'm quickly
Oh,
trying to
I know the
remember.
other major thing.
What's
No
that?
one has ever used Strand before. They're very
True.
clear that this is the first people guardian thing in the Destiny universe that has discovered, used Strand.
That's us. We've figured it out. We're
That's
finally
us.
smart
We're
enough
figuring
to
it out as we go.
do it on our own. We're doing it.
Yep.
I think that opens the door for it to be, you know, like clearly stasis in Beyond Light was a plot device, right? Like it was the reason that we went and did what we did first to stop Aramis controlling it, and then to control it ourselves. So it'll be interesting to see how this becomes part of like our story. In that, like, well, I mean, if we're the first people to discover it, it's not like we go and bump into the Cloud Striders and they teach us how to do it, which would have been probably what I would have assumed had they not made a point of saying that we discover it ourselves. So, very interested to see where it comes from. I'm sure it'll be tied in some way to Neptune. So, maybe it's something that we discover there. Who knows? Is there anything else in the Lightfall stuff that we want to touch on before we move on to the rest of the awesome stuff that's coming?
They were all my. I mean, there's probably other stuff. I think there's some general other stuff, but that was the main thing. Neptune, Cloud Striders, Callus, Shadow Legion, Tormentors,
Strand.
There
you go. And if that doesn't get you excited, then look, you're just dead inside.
Destiny's not for you, to be honest.
Destiny's just not for you. If that isn't, yeah, that's not floating your goat. You need to try harder. All right, so we're going to blast through some of these things, just so that we can get to doesn't turn out to be a 2.5 hour episode. Some of the stuff that is coming in the not too distant future. What do you think about Guardian Ranks, Matt? So Guardian Ranks being the new way to kind of guide people through the onboarding experience in the game, maybe teach them some stuff.
It's one of the few things I don't like about, but I want more information.
Yeah,
and I like. I like the commendations. I don't see its purpose
for us,
apart from judging people.
Like, yeah, but for us, like, commendations are a different thing. But talking about the Guardian Ranks themselves, like, and being a way to introduce people to the game, I think that there needs to be something, right? Like, if it provides structure for people to enter Destiny, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I guess if it's yeah, I never really thought about it that way. I just thought about the social judgment aspects of Guardian Ranks.
Oh yeah, look, I mean that's where
like I'm gonna be like someone's going, oh hello, been playing Destiny for like 8 years. Your Guardian Ranks is level 2. Like, bro, I'm reading the lore. Fuck you. Where's the Guardian Rank for reading the fucking lore books?
Look, man, I reckon you could like get an honorary Guardian Rank doctorate. At this point, like yours should be capped. You know, like you don't need to go and earn it. You just get given one because you've done enough. You know, like when comedians get given doctorates in English literature or whatever the fuck. I think we can get one for Matty. Matt's capped fucking Guardian Rank just so people won't cyberbully him. Very good. I do. There is a bit of trepidation about it for me too. Like I'm kind of like. Maybe it's just that I don't trust people. But
I mean, we didn't really explain what it is. You basically, it's almost like triumphs that you complete that gives you a Guardian rank that people can see.
Yeah.
And it escalates. So if you're new to the game, it's going to give you easy stuff, and eventually it's going to get to end game content, and it will indicate whether you've got a big E penis or a small E penis.
Yeah, or an innie, as it may be, you know, like just it's not there at all. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, look, we're already a little bit that way with season pass rank and whatever. Like, I don't know. Look, we'll just wait and see.
But, I mean, it's got to be different from season pass rank because it's not a completely different thing. Well, I mean, they're talking about it like it's displayed. So I don't know if it's going to replace your season pass rank.
I think it probably should, because like there's a lot of people that I see when I'm playing Destiny. I'm not a judgy bloke at all, but when I see like season rank like fucking off the scale, I'm like, please go outside. Just it's okay. You The hands grafted to a keyboard or something. All right, on to things that will definitely impact us a little bit more. Mods and loadout manager.
Oh, mate.
Oh,
This looks
baby.
so good.
I know, and it's been so long. Like, it's one of those things that we've kind of, thanks to Dim, and like, God bless Dim, because it's going to probably hit them a little bit. I mean, obviously, people will still manage their inventories and whatnot through Dim, but the loadout builder in Dim has been somewhat a lifesaver. And to get something like that in game where it's just, you can, everything's presented to you in a sort of like overarching view, much like the appearance stuff now, like the skin and whatnot modifications. Give it to me now. I'm as excited about this as I am about Lightfall. If I'm honest,
yeah,
it's a huge deal. So that's coming. Is that? I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit vague on when these things are going to be deployed. I'm assuming
Lightfall.
Yeah, after Lightfall. That these are things that are in the pipeline. I don't know whether
during Lightfall. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think they really said. I mean, it was a Lightfall showcase.
If they were all coming with Lightfall, it would have been, this is coming with Lightfall. So I think it's sort of like, this will be sort of the thing. Cast your mind back a year. They were talking about, we'll be refreshing all of the subclasses through the course of the next year, which, they've now done. So I think this will be a similar sort of thing. Commendations. This is the one I'm more worried about this than I am about Guardian ranks. I'll read the blurb and then we'll give our like slightly pessimistic takes on it. It's nice to feel appreciated. Coming in Lightfall, there will be a chance at the end of activities to tell others that they were a great teammate or a worthy adversary. As you rack up commendations for being a strong player or a great leader, other players will take notice and instantly know that you have a lot of experience and that you would be a worthy addition to their fire team. I can see it being great in 99.9% of instances.
I like these concepts, but people just don't do the right thing.
I know. There'll be people who like farm it. You know what I mean? Someone will figure out how to farm this and distort their rank. And I know that will happen. I believe that will happen. An LFG Fireteam Finder.
You know what? If it just came with mods loadout, the mods and the loadout manager, and LFG, I think it would have been fine.
I mean, it would have been enough for me. I would have never known about this other stuff. But look, maybe we're just being a little bit. Let's just see what happens.
It'll be interesting to see how the LFG goes. Someone made a good comment that for game releases without an LFG, it's very hard to retroactively add an LFG because people get into the habits, people get some ways of doing it. For me, I think for people that don't currently use an LFG, you'll probably give it a shot. And if you have a good experience, you'll keep using it.
Yeah. It is very luck of the draw, though. That's always been the case. Even going through the Destiny app and things like that, it is luck of the draw. I mean, we're fortunate in a sense that we've got a big group of mates who are still very invested in the game, so we can always, find someone to game with. But I totally think
have Twitch chat carry me every time.
Yeah, true. Daddy Mylan needs a hand, and all the hobbits come running, so you don't need to worry about that. But I think for like the thing, I mean, to appreciate a perspective that you and I don't have, if you're someone who, maybe you're you and maybe you play with your partner or whatever, and you don't have that network, how do you do a raid? I always see posts like that, occasionally on Reddit and things like that, and I've never done a raid. I just don't, have the crew to do it. And I'm like, that's sad because I think everyone should at least get the opportunity to experience this stuff, even if it's only the once. So I'm glad that there'll be a in-game avenue to do it.
I've been using hot mics, or I've been plugging a mic in my game PC to just have it open mic.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, to be honest.
Just having a chat. I mean, look, we cut our teeth in other games like Hell Let Loose and whatnot in Procs chat. So to have it in Destiny, I think you meet people. I think you would genuinely meet cool people, and I think that's a great thing because most of us have all been around long enough to be able to just sort of take it and have fun and do all that sort of stuff. So, right, the big biscuits, huge news. Sunsetting, cancelled, never again.
Done.
Sunsetting's done. We're not losing any more game stuff. We're keeping it all. There'll be no expansions vaulted. Huge
This
deal.
is crazy.
Because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether it's sort of just they've managed to build the game, rebuild the parts of the game sufficiently that they don't feel that the space constraints are what they were, or that they've kind of gone, this is because it is a big perception issue, right? Like whenever you talk to someone who doesn't play Destiny, well, yeah, that game that they deleted half of, like halfway through, and you're like, yeah, but. And then you try and argue, but you can't.
It's a consistency too, and that's what.
Yeah.
It's a big point they pushed is like we want to build the universe.
Yeah.
You basically can't do that if you keep sunsetting expansions
keep
and DLCs.
dropping things off the back. And to be fair, there's not all that much of the stuff that's been vaulted that I miss, but I know people who do really miss a lot of it too. So
when do you reckon the Destiny branded hard drives are coming out?
I hope soon, because we're gonna need them, right? Remember when they had like Destiny 2 1080 Ti's when Destiny 2 launched? Now it's just Bungie pairing up with, I don't know, fucking Seagate or whoever again. There you go.
Here's me Call of Duty hard drive. Here's me Destiny hard drive.
Buy the new Destiny 2 Signature Series hard drive. Comes with all of the expansions already loaded on it. There you go.
Oh, dude. I would buy that.
I would buy it. Hell yeah. It better be a solid state. That's all I'm saying. All right. So big deal, right? Have you had much of a chance to play this game today? Because I charged home from work and did all my family stuff and then jumped on so that I could talk a little bit about what I thought about the season so far and Arc 3.0 and all of that stuff. But like it was like an hour and it feels like an absolute whirlwind to me. So
hold on a second. I actually only just saw this in here about seasonal stuff. I didn't realize seasonal content will continue to stay throughout the current expansion year and then move in the content vaults. I didn't actually quite read that at the bottom. So it's only the big expansions that aren't going.
Yeah, I think they're talking about the activities, right? Like seasonal activities and things like that have disappeared.
Well, it's all seasonal content, yeah.
Yeah. So
which I guess makes sense because sometimes like the helm completely changes. The helm's different.
The helm's kind of like the point of call for all of that sort of stuff, and it evolves, and sometimes it's full of egregore stuff, and
I do hope though. Well, I guess what they've done is dungeons aren't necessarily part of the season anymore, are they? Next season's going to be a dungeon though. I wonder what they do with that.
I hope they stop putting dungeons away. Honestly, I think Prestige going away is sad.
Yeah,
big sad.
Well, Prestige is not even a dungeon; it's exotic quest.
Really? Felt like a dungeon. You sure it's not a dungeon? You telling me fibs, Mylan Games?
I'm pretty sure Prestige is not classified as a dungeon.
Okay.
Is it, Chad?
I don't know.
Exotic quest.
It may well be. Sure, there's egg on my face now. Anyway.
It's like Whisper of the Worm or
True. There you go. I don't know. It just always gave me a dungeony vibe. That's fine. I'll be wrong. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's not quite a dungeon.
Yeah, right.
It's a bit less than that. I think they need to say that. I hope if they come out with a season, however they package them, I think dungeons and it'd be nice to have if they do another exotic quest that like Prestige, it stays. 0 hours, what I was thinking of before. Yeah.
0 hour is by far and away my favorite. Still, and that's probably the only thing I'm genuinely sad isn't in the game now. And it's 99% just because of all the physics deaths you could die in it. Because
I don't think people really care about the seasonal activities leaving.
Yeah, I think because they're so tied to where the story is in that moment. Yeah, I don't think that's such a huge deal. But I mean, look, it's a step in the right direction. It's one of those things that, and as I said, it's been a perception issue. So I'm glad that they've addressed it because it makes it easier for us to go and pressure our friends into coming and playing Destiny. You got any friends that don't play Destiny, Matt?
I literally had a friend just message me just then going, I'm thinking about getting Destiny again.
Wow. There you go. See? Now you can tell them all the content's staying forever, baby.
Except for seasonal.
Except for seasonal stuff. Don't worry about that. Just gloss
May or
over
may
it.
not include dungeons.
All right, and on that, may or may not include dungeons. And on that beautiful segue, let's talk about this season of Plunder, the pirate themed season. Now, I love pirates. Anyone who knows me knows that I love pirates, and I'm happy about this. And the Titan armor is the best. The end. But seriously, that like, what have you done? What have you managed to experience? Because we live
I've
in
only
this
just
now.
played. I've just played. Literally played the first week story.
Right. So you've probably done a little bit more than me. I've done the introduction mission. Where you go up and find out that Aramis is defrosted and shoveled off somewhere else. We should have put her in the freezer after all. Hey, and then I've done Catch Crash, which I think is, as far as seasonal activity goes, great. Like, it's fun. I don't know if it'll be maybe a little bit long, like once you've had to do it, a heap of times, but it's probably the funnest thing I've done since what's the 30th anniversary 9 thing called? What's the actual activity?
Days of Eternity.
Yes, Days of Eternity. So it kind of gives me that vibe, but a little less game showy. It's kind of fun and bombastic.
Yeah, there's actually like sort of 3 different activities that all sort of meld together to essentially build a treasure map and go get treasure.
I mean, hey, we don't need much of an excuse as Guardians, do we? Like this, look, we're just here for this shit. Just give us the stuff. Drifter will just tell us whatever we need to hear.
The
and we
story
just
is cool. It is definitely on the simple side, but simple is not always bad for this season.
I think
the whole thing is like Aramis woke up and is stealing dark relics, and we're stealing them back.
We're just gonna have pirate fights because everyone's just we're flying around in the gaudiest ketch of all time that's got like leopard skin.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Simple plot, great characters: Spider, Drifter, Ido Kel.
Yep.
Mithrax's daughter.
Yep. She's in it quite a bit. At least the first few cutscenes and stuff. A lot of dialogue there. It's great.
So doesn't need to be convoluted, and I think the characters are fantastic, so they can carry the season pretty easily.
I think there's a fair analog to like what we were saying about Lightfall coming with Neomunda, and I think I've pronounced that right, if not, but it being like a palette cleanse in terms of like environmental places where we've been, right? So it's something new and something fresh where we're coming out of Season of the Haunted. It was particularly heavy. There was some pretty heavy themes, confronting your demons, all the stuff Zavala went through particularly was pretty harrowing. Maybe we need just to be pirates for a few months and have a palate cleanse, and nothing's really, we're not going to get too bogged down in the seriousness of the story before it picks up again when, we move on. So I'm fine with it. Right. So, Arc 3.0. I'm only just scratching the surface, I feel. I've done the big Titan, I don't know, you want to call it like a Hadouken punch, a beam, a one punch man sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was happy with
pretty
that.
Cool.
It's
cool. Got range on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did it to a captain, and I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, how's this work? And then he deleted him. I'm like, okay. I'm happy enough with that. Thunderclap. It was more like Thunder get fucked. He was gone. He was just out of there. So I've seen some terrifying clips of it being used in PvP already. Like it killing 6 people and stuff like that if you're close enough to each other. So I'm sure we're going to hear more about Arc 3.0 and the PvP experience. But having only played PvE so far, feels pretty fun. Feels like a romp, running around a bit quicker, all that sort of stuff. It's kind of what we expected it to be.
I've been running my Shinobu's Vow for Hunter, which gives you double skips, and literally have infinite skip nades, and I've got the fragment on that gives you jolt. I haven't shot a bullet. I just run around punching and throwing grenades.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
And the only thing I've got on is salvos.
Right.
I've got salvos on, and if I need to do like damage, I'll shoot salvos, then throw a grenade, shoot salvos again, and then it's pretty much dead.
Did you come up with that all by yourself?
No, of course not. Chat told me.
I was gonna go.
No, that's actually not true. I
was gonna pump you up, and you just threw yourself under the bus.
No, I did look through it. I did look through the patch notes and started to think about what build I wanted. And because everyone was going to do Lies Handshake, I was like, I can go be a Titan if I want to punch stuff. So
Yeah.
I did a Shinobi's Vow build, and Jolt is very powerful.
It's basically disassociated June marches, but repetitive.
Yes.
It's
I think it's stronger than that. It
Yeah.
nails them.
When I read it, I was like, I know this because June marches are my deal, and I'm gonna put them back on and not take them off again. I'm committed to it. I will be emitting lightning like no one's business. But I believe that, Matty. I feel like Jolt is the deal, and I mean, obviously, this ties into some stuff that we're going to talk about with Chris that you'll see shortly, and there's a few things you might want to be keeping your eye out for. True too. So I'm excited to get into that and let people enjoy that. Look, obviously with the seasonal stuff, we'll digest this over the next couple of weeks, and I mean there probably won't be a DDU this Saturday. This is probably it because pretty bumper episode, but we're always going to be giving our take on it. So we've been a little bit light on it here, but that's fine. It's been fucking half a day. It's okay. The other massive news. Return of the King. We're going back to King's Fall is the reprised raid.
It's crazy that's like the least exciting news out of everything so far.
I know. I was gonna say that. I was like, I don't know.
And it looks good.
It does. It looks incredible. I mean, I've watched the trailer a couple of times. I watched all the trailers a good few times, just trying to pick out interesting stuff. Particularly with this, I was trying to figure out what they'd changed. And I think there's a few things about the final area that look a bit different and all of that sort of stuff. But time will tell. It's good to have Oryx back in the game, right? I think that's the thing I'm excited about. I just want to get into that final room and look up at the big daddy of it all. It's been a good few years now, so a bit of a nostalgic trip, I think. But I don't think anyone was particularly surprised that King's Fall was coming back, right? Like I was kind of off kilter. I was hoping for Wrath. I don't know why. I think I've said that a few times. I think I even might have said that to Chris in the interview that I was like, I was convinced it was Wrath just because that's me just trying to be different. I'm glad it's King's Fall. I think that
I'm interested to see what they do differently. I hope there's a lot of ads because it doesn't matter if you solo arc or whatever.
You can add clear like nobody's business with every subclass now. So
and some additional mechanics like they did with Vogue, I think would be very tidy. Quick surprise for you.
What's that, mate?
Bungie kindly sponsored a video of mine to cover the lore of whatever raid came out, and I took my bets and thought, you know what? It's going to be King's Fall. It's going to be King's Fall.
Yeah.
And then obviously the leaks came out saying it was King's Fall. I was like, yep, that's a go light. And then I basically said to Gamer Trap, half this money's yours. I want 4 King's Fall artwork pieces of Oryx being an absolute badass.
All right.
Sneak peek. These aren't finished yet.
And the Witness.
So we get.
Do you reckon they would have got on Oryx and the Witness? Do you reckon they would have been?
They did. That's the whole point. Is that's who's been communing with.
Did Oryx know that? Oh, we're getting sidetracked. Or did Oryx just think it was some kind of disembodied voice from the dark that he was?
That's who the OG Taken King is. It's the Witness. He's one that controls the Taken. That's the original master.
True. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. They probably wouldn't have got along well then. They would probably been fighting over who was the Taken King. Right.
So we've got Wall doing some editing. Actually, I can show this too.
You're getting all the spoilers here. I shouldn't say spoilers on a. You got to make sure you go and watch the video, kids. All right,
Yeah, if you guys don't watch this video, I'm gonna give you a triple uppercut. If you don't watch the video, Bungie won't sponsor it again, and then you don't get content. So
that'd be big sad. Oh,
duds.
Wow.
Thummy.
Yeah.
J. Laughlin Thummy.
Mate, I'll tell you what, you've assembled a crew much like Mithrax.
The fucking Avengers came out for this one.
You're like Spider's crew, right? Like everyone's Matt's got to rescue his crew of artists and editors and stuff to make a
Yeah, I was like, no, I got fucking money. I got money. Quick.
quick. And they will come, oh, I'm fucking listening now. I'm coming back. What do you want, Papa? Let's go. All right. Is there anything else that we need to... Oh, look, the one thing that we haven't talked about, you can go and be Zavala in Fortnite now, or Fall Guys, or whatever. Like, did you see this coming? What?
Oh, yeah, hold on. Yeah. And if you download it on Epic Games,
yep,
you get
the 30th anniversary for free.
For free.
Yep, just...
Mate, you should have seen how funny my chat was. The like a fucking switch. Oh, no, it's all right. It's all right. Like, oh, it's on Epic Games. Oh, you get 30. Oh, yeah. Fucking pretty good idea, that one, yeah.
Who would be in your chat that, like, wouldn't already have that anyway, really? Like, they're a pretty rusted on crowd, right?
Yeah.
That's why these sorts of things, I'm like, yeah, that's cool for someone who's just, new to the game and starts a thing on Epic. It doesn't change my mind about anything. I'll still be sitting on Steam, I think.
You know what happened?
What?
Bloody Holtzman, now
Yes.
Bungie dev.
Alts, yeah.
He goes, here, guys, here's a Steam key. And he said Beyond Light. So no one really acted on it. Someone redeemed it. It's like, bro, that's Lightfall. Collector's edition.
You want to take the typo back? Jesus, that's... I mean, that's one way of, like, getting the code out there and not having people, like, troll bloody sell it on the internet, right? That's pretty good. So, yeah. Fortnite, Fall Guys... I do feel like they missed a thing. There could have been a Destiny crossover with Sea of Thieves, particularly this season. It would have been perfect, but that probably would have collapsed my gaming universe into a singularity, and I've never have recovered. So,
I think I just saw a clip on Twitter of Zavala winning Fortnite with the Kamehameha. So that's pretty funny.
Are we gonna have to download like? Do you want to do it?
I'm 100% gonna give Fortnite a shot.
You're gonna give it a shot?
Do you know the general response was people like haven't really come back to Fortnite after they got rid of building, and then people give it a bit of whirl and go, you know what? Actually, a bit of fun.
I mean, even back in the day, I thought it was fun. It just wasn't necessarily for me, but I'm definitely going to jump back in.
It just got too sweaty with building.
I'm just going to jump back in and give it a go because, if I don't now, I never will. So, I think we'll have to do
you
that.
don't get
We'll
many
have to do
chances
that one night.
We'll slam someone's head in with Zavala.
Exactly, right? Like, how good. I liked Fallout's tweet, though, that they were going to bring back Gate 6, but he would have been too sluggish because he's dead. Remorseless. That's probably the other thing. Just to touch on before we go into the epic interview with Chris. Fuck, it's good to see so many people from the community. Like, I mean, T-Rex. He's on the Bungie side of the fence now, and on the presentation today, giving an excellent account of himself and just getting in there and representing people that are they're one of us. They're from the outside and they got on onto the inside. And D Flawless today, absolutely, like, man, like, it's one of those people you're just like, where does this talent come from? Like, what a annoyingly talented person just to be able to go and do that and, like, absolutely swim in it and just own it. And I thought, like, we've got some great people, great members of our community, and we should be proud when they get these opportunities and absolutely hammer them home. So if you're involved in any way, obviously all the folks at Bungie that we love, congratulations on a super successful day, and here's to many more, I think. Beautiful.
There would be a time where I'd be concerned about my channel and the future of Destiny, and now it's just like, okay.
They're just not missing anymore, right? Like, I think that's the thing, that the line out of it, the days of content droughts are over. Like, I mean, we've had one. We've had one kind of recently, like leading into Witch Queen
very.
and all that.
I don't think.
But I mean, we're not talking like 18-month content droughts. Like, we've had some pretty big ones in the past. So,
I think what is really exciting is you can see the potential of Destiny went up tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it obviously is going to see how it plays out. But if Lightfall is a hit with the grapple hook and the environments, they can just do anything they fucking want, whenever they want.
It looked smooth, man. Like that's the thing that even, they're talking pre-alpha footage or whatever it was, the little disclaimer text up the top of the screen. It's like pre-alpha footage. I'm like, dude, just give me that now. Like, it looks fucking unreal. You don't have to sell it to me anymore. I'll just have it. Thanks. I'll have the pre-alpha, whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
They're in the zone, I think. I feel that, look, one last thing about Lightfall, and then we'll go into thing. The fact that they're doubling down on the difficulty level story stuff.
Oh yeah,
huge.
Yeah,
I was stoked with that. I mean, it's so easy to gloss over small parts of this, but that philosophy is, the message that they've heard us loud and clear, and that 2/3 of people who played through the Witch Queen campaign did it on hard mode effectively. Unreal. So clearly people want the challenge and they want to get in there and feel like they're doing it the hard way for the better rewards. So excited.
Do we know if you're capped for King's Fall? Must be.
I don't know. I haven't followed it that closely.
Because you get a chest in the helm that brings all your gear up to 1570.
You know who got on that today? Chook. Hey? Fancy him working his way into this. He jumped back into Destiny and he's like, oh, how am I going to get my light up? And I went, guess what, mate? And he went to the helm and he printed out all his stuff and now he's at light level. He's working his way through Witch Queen's story because he's been off playing ESO. See? Bringing people back to the game already. The bloody...
Yeah.
There you go. It worked. It worked. All right, Matty, do you want to dive into this interview with Chris?
Let's do it, mate. But I can't even remember what I said, so let's have a look.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to have to watch it back with everyone else and be like, we'll probably be cringing.
We're going to do what you guys do right now. We're just going to probably play some Destiny and listen to our own interview.
Yeah. Bit of a weird moment. But anyway, here we go.
Chris Proctor, baby.
Chris Proctor. Let's go. All right, bit of a special event here for the DDU. We're being joined by none other than Chris Proctor, Senior Design Lead at Bungie, or AKA the Guns Man. That's the way my brain works. That's my description of what you do. I'm sure we're definitely going to get into getting your explanation of what you do because it's important. But welcome to our humble corner of the Destiny podcast universe, mate.
Yeah, good day, Gideons.
Yes.
Just a throwback.
I was very happy when I saw Guardians in the
You're the only folks that I saw tried to even pronounce it. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes naturally, to be honest. It's I don't know. It was one of those moments seeing that pop up in the TWAB where I don't know. We're going to get into the TWAB, TWAB, TWIB, whatever discussion and probably at some point. But when I saw that pop up, I felt seen. So thank you.
Couple of sort of notes. This is a pre-recording and you'll be watching it after the showcase. Just to set expectations, we're not talking about the showcase. So if something crazy has gone down, wow, I can't believe it. Like,
yeah. Holy shit.
Whoa. Do a surprise face for us, Chris.
I know.
So we're not talking about the showcase, but we do have some other topics that we can talk about with Chris. Also, Chris was on the Firing Range podcast, well, part of Destiny community podcast, the Firing Range episode. So if you want really detailed, you want to talk about cones and know everything about cones and see representation of cones, that's where you go.
Yeah, that's the other expectation we need to set, because if we're going to talk about cones here, it'll be more like the misspent youth kind. rather than anything that that goes on other podcasts.
The Bungie representatives are already at the door, and you are one sentence away from.
What are you talking about? It's weed's legal there. It's only an issue here. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, we won't be talking about that. That's not important.
I think I got all the cones out of my system earlier this week anyway.
Yeah, it was a monster. It's one of those things that I always make a point of tuning in and trying to understand maybe 10% of what's going on, because I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, and it's embarrassing, but whenever we get the patch notes, Matt and I, it is, I don't know, it's like watching like two literal primates try and figure out, like, we haven't even evolved to the point of the wheel yet, really, but we're trying to drive a race car. That's the way it feels, like fumbling through it. So I'm glad you're here. I hope you can help.
I remember one of the first times I listened to your podcast, it was right after a TWAB that I'd written came out. And I think you said something at the start like, man, I wish we had Chris here to explain this. Like, oh yeah, we should actually do that sometime.
Yeah, because I think that like anyone that's like us, you know, like most of the community is smarter than Matt and I, and like that's not a shock to anyone. But I think that we could, like, you know, obviously you're speaking to people on your level when it's on firing range with Fallout and all those boys that are really into it. Where for Matt and I, it's like, you know, if you're as thick as two bricks, then maybe you can dumb it down for us. We might circle back to that, and you can explain some stuff later on. It's
I've got some like a tie-on question to that. And
yep,
are you ever shocked, Chris, by the level of detail the Destiny community goes with? Like when you get in firing range and those guys are just reeling off numbers that they just know. Does that shock you, or is that like an expectation, or has that changed over the years? Like how do you respond to that level of detail from the Destiny community when it comes to perks and numbers and stats and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I will say quite often I learn something about Destiny that I didn't know before. Like there's some elements of the community that have done like reverse engineered how a bunch of stuff in the game works. And when they like tell me about it, I'm like, no, that doesn't seem right. I've never heard of that. And then when I go and look through it and turn on debug and everything, it's like, oh no, they've got it like within 5% of what the actual thing is.
Really? Do you have any specific example you can share, or?
Yeah, you remember when there was the TWAB where we said that we were increasing the projectile speed of sidearms and fusion rifles.
Right.
There's there was never any intent for them to have travel time. It was just an artifact of like Destiny 1. Like if you set the speed to 999 meters per second, that's hit scan. But then if you're running at 60 frames a second or higher, then it becomes I guess like hit scan is defined as if it will cover the distance in one frame. That's converted to hit scan internally. And so if your frame rate is high enough, then that's no longer true. But anyway, I looked at it and was like, no, it all looks right. That should be hit scan. And then they kept like sending videos and stuff showing, look, I'm standing, 200 meters away from this like cabal way at the bottom of that flight point in Nessus. Yep. Went and looked, and yeah, sure enough, had to go and talk to a sandbox engineer. They said, oh yeah, this is how this calculation is done internally. And then I sat down with some of the other sandbox designers, and we did the maths on how slow a projectile would have to go before it would be not hit scan. It was like just at that threshold. Like if you're running on PC or you're running on console over 30 frames per second, then it could be. Anyway, yeah, like the community just kept bringing that up until I dug into it and realized that actually they were right. Pretty funny.
I'm just applying this to like an everyday job where you normally come in the office, you check your emails, like, oh, I've got a bunch of extra work. Whereas you come in, I've got this Twitter notifications with videos. Go, oh, God damn it. So I've got to go investigate this fusion rifle now.
Yeah.
Destiny, like we're saying, we're not on the smart side when it comes to a lot of these stats and things like that and perks in general, really. But how do you see it in its complexity right now and new players getting in? Because I think that is probably pretty hard for new players coming into Destiny, whether you're going in PvP or PvE, and just looking at how far the game has come. Is that something that you talk much about, or is it just sort of like what Destiny is? It's going to take a little bit of work to get people up to a level where they feel sort of comfortable jumping in or making builds or whatever.
Yeah, the game is pretty impenetrable if you try to jump in and immediately start playing with your friends who've been playing it for 2,000 hours.
Yeah.
And I think like our onboarding, we talk about this a lot, like we're pushing on build crafting, and build crafting is great and I love it. Like I'm a long time Magic the Gathering fan.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
But if we require build crafting, then we have to teach players how to do it, because not everyone will have spent that amount of time playing the game. Like even people who do have that amount of time in the game struggle with it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty tough. Like we are actively working on making that experience easier, like more tooltips and better onboarding and stuff.
Yeah. It's also the big appeal of the game, I guess. That's what every sort of Destiny player enjoys is seeking that knowledge. When they can't get into the game, that's why there's such big, content around, like YouTube videos you can go watch or streamers and like ways of gathering knowledge about it. And it's also like a big benefit, but also a real big barrier to new players as well. So, yeah.
I think
like one of the reasons why the community is so strong is that they have been digging through all of this information. I think part of that is because there's a PvP side to the game. Like people want to really hyper-analyze everything and figure out what all the numbers mean. It drives all these discussions and YouTube videos and speculation.
What's your because you came from Halo, right? You came from 343, and your role there was it AI?
Yeah, I did like weapons and AI on Halo 5, and then I was lead character designer for like 4 years on Halo Infinite. I left before it shipped. But yeah, so a bunch of time on weapons and enemy AI stuff.
What would you say is the biggest difference? Because obviously there's a massive difference between Halo, especially like PvP and Destiny PvP. Like, are there lessons you took from 343 when you came over to Destiny, or was it just a huge shock to then go into a system that's not balanced or that has a lot more levers to pull to try get some sort of level of, I'm going to say competitiveness, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really interesting difference because, like, as you know, it's basically the same engine as of like, branched, what is it, 12 years ago, something like that, 14 years ago.
Right.
And they're radically different now, like the tool set, but all of the core concepts are the same. Like I can look at what I would call a weapon TFT in the Destiny engine, and all of the fields like I have equivalents in the Halo weapon data. The main difference is that in Halo you build a weapon and it's 100% custom and it has all of its own animations and a completely unique weapon model. And we almost never do that in Destiny anymore, right? Like we can churn out 40 weapons for an annual expansion or 30 for a seasonal release to like a AAA level of quality. And it's all because all of our data is hyper optimized to let us build a new weapon just by setting it to use like base auto rifle and then tweaking a bunch of
stats, right?
Yeah, it's all like stats and perk pools, and that's how you get
pulling a bunch of levers to make a new weapon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever just walk in and go, God, I wish I was just making a Halo 1 weapon?
I mean, not really, because exotics kind of occupy that space. Like, an exotic will take a designer, 4 or 6 weeks total development time. And it's probably longer in Halo just because of how long the cycle is. But that satisfies that same urge for really getting in and perfectly hand tuning something.
Would you say that's your like favorite thing of your job is designing exotics, or is another part that you really enjoy?
So there's, I guess, 4 parts to a weapon design job. One is designing the exotics. So that's like a single exotic is probably the single most expensive individual thing that we make. There's making legendary perks and legendary weapons. There is doing all of the planning and what we call stubbing, which is like creating basic items to represent a whole season, which we then go and build up. And then there's balance, like weapon balance stuff. Those are the 4 main areas. We have 5 designers and everyone specializes a little bit. We all do a bit of everything. But yeah, so of those areas, I actually really, really like doing the legendary weapons. Like I've made a bunch of exotics, like 8 exotics or whatever, and I'm super proud of them and they're a ton of fun. But like I get into the details of what perks on this weapon are going to really excite players, like what's going to make them want to really chase this without breaking the game. So it's always like riding that edge of how far can I push this without actually breaking something. That's good. It's good fun.
So who made Taraba? The Tasmanian devil, right? Tasmanian devil?
Yeah, it is.
Taraba?
Yeah. No,
which is an Australian extinct animal.
Yeah.
They're not extinct. It's tigers that are extinct.
Man. Oh, tiger. I think it's Tasmanian tiger. Not the devils.
No, the devils are, they're endangered, I think. So, but awesome.
That's what Taz is, right? Looney Tunes. Taz is a Tasmanian devil, right?
Yes.
Tasmanian devil, yeah.
My spirit animal, yes.
Because they've got a really strong bite or something. They've got the strongest marsupial bite or something like that.
I mean, they're awesome.
And that's why Tarabar's got its jaw, right?
Yeah. Ravenous
beast. Yeah.
Yeah, so the designer who made that is not Australian. And I think they're no longer working on the project either, but Yeah,
That's
it's
a
sort of funny that that was like 3 months before I started or something.
There you go. It
Oh,
was a
right.
herald. It was like the epilogue leading into your arrival. The first Australian gun turns up that just screams at people, screams bullets at people. It's
It was a long time until the next one, right? Like, what
Well-
do you reckon the next Australian named gun was after that?
I don't know. Probably my favorite submachine gun.
Unaweb.
Yeah, I have not taken that thing off. It is.
Yeah.
I'll have to pull up the roll because it is. I get yelled at by friends because I've managed to just jag this really, really bullshit roll on it. So I'll pull that up in a sec, actually. But is there any others that we've missed? Is there anything else doing the rounds that?
Yeah, there's Redback as well, right? So
True. Yeah.
there's the new lighter as well, which is like the official name of shoot, what was that? Say an Australian jellyfish or a snake? I don't have that at hand. But yeah,
There
like
you go.
the occasionally we will, like, designers when they stub in the weapons will put a bunch of design names in there. Like same for perks. Sometimes, or almost all of the time, writers come in and they do a proper narrative pass, and those all make sense. But most of the Witch Queen Foundry weapons, the dev names just shipped, so we managed to get a couple of Aussie names in there, which was cool.
I mean,
It also leads to some weird things.
That's the theme, right? Like all of the Vice stuff
Yeah.
is poison, right? All of them like feel like something venomous, and that ties in thematically to, I guess, the Vice has always sort of leaned that way.
Yeah, so it's a perfect fit for Australia, right?
True.
It's one
Where
of those
everything will
weird
kill
things
you.
about the naming. Like, so those ones, they're sort of, you can imagine those names shipping. That's fine. And sometimes we will just set a really ridiculous name, just as a clue to the writers that you probably shouldn't ship this. Please write something new. And that's how you ship with a name like Adept Big Ones spec.
Adept big ones.
Right. So sometimes you put placeholders in, and then they sort of slip past the goalie, and they end up in.
Yeah, I think like there are two ways you can try and make sure something doesn't ship. Either put something really clinical in there, like rate of fire increase on precision reload.
Yeah,
right,
plus 66 or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, or you can put in something really silly that you don't think anyone would allow to ship. But yeah,
And then
the
you're like a
second one doesn't always
10%
work.
chance at it making it through anyway.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that you could lift just about any song by a metal band and use it as a Destiny gun name. I'm yet to think of a single example. I think that, like, if you ever run out of inspiration, just start working your way through the Metallica back catalogue, because like, anything, Master of Puppets, Unforgiven 2, it all works. It's just it's there. I don't know how they'd feel about it. I don't really care. I mean, they've got enough money, but we'll move on.
Funny. I wonder if it works the other way. Like, there are probably a bunch of Destiny gun names that you could totally believe are metal songs.
Bands?
Oh, absolutely. There's a few Iron Maiden songs that are guns that I don't even use, like Peace of Mind. Like that was what 2 seasons ago that I've kept. Or maybe it was only last season, but I've kept way more rolls of that than like I will ever have any intention of using, just because it's, and Heaven Shall Wait is like a blue from like early Destiny 2, I think. Maybe it was even Destiny 1. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was the intention, but I've certainly hung on to guns that I don't use because they're named after cool songs.
I've got a question about abilities 3.0, Solar, Arc, Void, and how that has impacted perk design. Because I found with the build crafting, as build crafting gets more and more, the guns are sort of suiting different roles. A good example for me was when I did Duality Dungeon as a Titan. The hammers were so strong that I was running double specials to take out bell keepers and, shoot bells. So there was like, the guns were actually a different role than ad clearing or something like that. Have you found that ability, Solar Arc or Void, has changed how you look at perks for weapons?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, typically we had been trying not to ship perks at the same time as the 3.0s, just because they change so much during development. Every time something changes, we have to update the perks that we've made. But we finally settled on a cadence where we were like really synced in with the abilities team, and so Headstone was the first experiment, and that was quite a while after Stasis. And then with Void 3.0, which did we ship? Yes, we didn't ship a damage type perk then, did we? I guess there were some more stasis ones.
Where did
And then,
adaptive ammunitions come in? Is that Void?
that was that was Witch Queen.
I think the most
Yeah,
recent
that's another
example
example.
would be like incandescent with solar, like that it ties directly in. So
Right.
I mean, I don't know what is I'm hoping, and like to be honest, I read through the release on each of the subclasses and all of that, and as a Striker Titan main, I was like. It's borderline pornographic. Just reading like this is how you will. Not only will you be faster, here's all the amazing ways you are going to like literally punch people.
Oh yeah,
into oblivion.
Let's talk about that because the showcase will be done too. So
I mean, look, people will be playing it, right? By the time
Yeah,
anyone
like,
sees this,
see
people
this,
will,
yeah.
and it may well make us look silly, but I am hoping that maybe there's a little perk in there that dishes out some jolt. That's what I would like. It might be OP as hell. But I guess like
there absolutely is actually.
Oh.
So there's a
let us know because this is going to go straight out. So people might still be farming. What are we looking for?
What are we looking at?
Wow, those Bungie NDAs are nothing to mess with, mate. But you do you.
No, I guess we can't we?
Well, I think we can talk about this. We do this will go
We can
nowhere.
talk about it within the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the NDA's for.
there's a weapon perk, Jolt Shot. Is it Volt Shot or Jolt Shot? One was the dev name, and one was the shipping name. Anyway, your first shot after reloading after a kill with the weapon jolts the target.
All right. Okay.
That's a pretty strong effect, particularly on weapons that reload fast or that you get a lot of kills with. And obviously that ties directly into Arc 3.0. The weird thing with Arc, though, is that we almost didn't need to. Like, there are a bunch of ways of interacting with Arc 3.0 just because there's stuff that, like, special weapon kills do an Arc thing, right? Like, there's a bunch of stuff like that just built into the subclass, which makes our jobs a lot easier.
I am sensing there's going to be some very, 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 very strong PvE options in this because that was sort of the thing that was staggering for me is that like we got Void 3.0 and it felt like everything was like holy crap, I can just the chain explosions for one was insane, but once we got to Solar and it kind of stepped up again with Incandescent and like I mean the amount of time I sunk into like getting the Callus mini tool and like crafting it just so I could have that set up exactly the way I wanted it. It shreds and it's ridiculous, and to know that there's going to be an Arc equivalent, I like the idea of it too. It feels like it's sort of.
Would
a
you
bit
say
more
that Jolt one is the Arc? This is probably the Arc cornerstone, like incandescent, or the
yeah, it's the equivalent to incandescent. It's
right.
just needed less in Arc 3.0. Because the Arc directs or Arc 3.0 interacts more directly with weapons than the other subclasses did.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's like an interesting comment because I found, with Void, it felt like it was very much on the volatile rounds as part of the seasonal artifact that carried a lot of the interactions with the guns, right? You put your funnel web on with the Void, was interacting with your volatile rounds, which really made it sort of shine. And then Solar Incandescent perk, I really feel like carried it, picked it up, and you had a classy restoration, which was on your armor rather than like a, I guess, weapon interaction. And it feels like maybe Arc is back to being a bit more balanced with abilities and weapons.
And it's so hard to tell. Like everybody, it took a few weeks for folks to warm up to Void 3.0, right? And then Solar 3.0 came out. And for the first 3 weeks, everyone was like, man, Void 3.0 is so much stronger. And I'm sort of expecting something similar with Arc, like where it'll take several weeks for players to really get their builds rolling and figure out where the strengths are.
I don't know. Do you reckon they've learned their lesson now? Because I think everyone was, like you said, a bit angry the first couple of weeks, and like, actually, Solar's insane.
Matt, are you suggesting that there's going to be an increased level of introspection on like people's part going into this?
You think it's too far to expect?
I think there's going to be people who make knee-jerk reactions no matter what and yell out about it. And to be honest, let's just look. Just give it some time. This look, Bolt Shot, Jolt Shot, whatever it's called.
That happened 2 months ago, can't you?
No.
Oh no.
Well, I'm a goldfish. It's probably why I can't remember, what any of the perks do. The other thing I found super interesting reading through I think it was in the 12 it was mentioned, that people are going to want to dig out Thunderlord again. Thunderlord has always been my favorite gun. Destiny 1, Destiny 2, and it sort of, it fell out of vogue for a good while because it's just, this. I mean, once Galahorn came along, it kind of ruled the roost for everything. Thunderlord and Cloudstrike, or as we learned last time we had our Destiny fans call, Thunder Lady, as I've never called it. I'll never refer to it as Cloudstrike again. I get the feeling that they're going to, we're going to see that. Is there any specific detail around that we can talk about, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, so Thunderlord has gotten a bunch of buffs, right? Like there was the 20% buff a while ago, and then the 40% buff last season. And you saw in the TWAB that it's getting intrinsic overload. And it's also getting a catalyst next season. So it's the
oh boy.
the activity drop catalyst.
Yep.
The catalyst reloads the weapon from reserves every time you get a lightning strike. So the ammo just keeps refilling if you keep hitting the same target over and over. It feels great. Like you can just burn through a whole mag without reloading.
I'm imagining the minigun scene from Predator, but with lightning.
It's exactly like that. Yeah. The really interesting thing about it is that it's sort of like using Actium War Rig or something, right? Because one magazine isn't really quite enough to really appreciate the maximum rate of fire of that weapon.
Yeah.
You'll be getting like one lightning strike a second, and then they're like every half second. And then by the time it's fully ramped up, you're almost out of ammo. But with this change, you can hear it at that full rate of fire speed for 5 seconds or something.
It's going to be good to use machine guns again. I haven't used one in quite a while.
I use them in PvP and I get told off for it by my friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, the kill potential of event machine guns is no joke. Like you have so much ammo, you can get a bunch of kills as you hit your shots.
Yep. Yep. Jumping off the back of that, Thunder Lady, right? Is there any other like working titles of guns that are on that level? Because I honestly, whenever I see Cloudstrike, I think Thunder Lady, and it was just because probably we had this conversation ages ago, and it's just coloured my impression of it. Is there anything else that you think people need to know that gives a bit more of an insight of the character of either like the concept of a weapon or anything like that?
I'm mad. I have to think. When Thunder Lady was easy because I was talking to friends right when I started at Bungie, and we were talking about Thunderlord, and we're like, how would you make another gun that's as cool as Thunderlord? Well, what if you made Thunderlord, but it was a sniper rifle? And it's like, clearly that's got to be Thunder Lady.
And it's refined and neat. Yeah. And I'm silently crapping myself about how efficient that gun will be come in PvP once Arc 3.0 drops. It'll be mean.
I've just had a great idea, which is very self-serving. I don't know if you've seen, I've just finished another Destiny lore game show where I have lore quizzes, like questions, and I also do a fire team feud where I send out a survey to people when they, just like family feud, and they associate things. I said one question was, what do you associate with Cage 6? And people write their answers, I collate them all, and like the top answer was dead.
Lovely.
Wow,
yes.
Wow. Yeah, brutal. Yeah. What a Destiny players hate? Top answer, Destiny. Okay. So but this has made me think of a new segment. It's just hear me out. Don't have to say yes or no. Wouldn't it be great to have like match this perk? Or, like say Thunder Lady. Like here, Chris is telling us the title Thunder Lady. What exotic is this? And everyone's like, or the internal names of stuff.
That'd be that'd be great. So some of the internal names are just silly and some of them are descriptive, but I think, either way, it'd be good fun to see if people can like identify what the shipping gun was.
Maybe we can do that in a 12 in a few weeks' time. We can you can throw out some here's a list of guns, and the old activity where you draw the line between here's its working title, here's its actual title.
Like those little kitty activities.
And do a crossword as well or something as well. Why not?
Yeah, Destiny. Yeah.
Destiny activity book. There you go.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you can say this, but it was written by, I guess approved. It said information about season 19, philosophy, aspirations. What can you tell us about season 19? This is another season ahead. I was surprised this was in our notes.
It's more sort of how we're planning to balance guns and what our sort of aspirations are, sort of future facing. I'm not going to drop anything that's about Season 19 that hasn't already been, broadly announced. Yeah, so we were talking about damage type perks earlier. We're definitely looking to integrate the 3.0 verbs more deeply into weapons, so more of the headstone or incandescent types of perks, but
Yep.
we'll get other ways of doing it as well, so that the damage types feel a little bit more special, a little bit more distinct.
Yeah. Is that to sort of help complement the build crafting and make sure weapons sort of keep their place in that build crafting?
Yeah, because we're in a place right now where the weapon sandbox is kind of internally balanced, and then the bulk of the build crafting is in armor and subclass. But the two interact at a couple of points. It's like you have demolitionist and wellspring and surplus, or you have the 3.0 damage type perks. But you don't have anything that's really deeply integrated into a subclass build in the same way. And we definitely want to get there.
Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes. Like especially with for solar, it was really like Log said, having a callus mini tool with incandescent and that interacting with your fragment, your Empyrean, whatever it's called, to give you a health or to boost your restoration. It was mainly using it for that. So it'd be great for that to come through a bit strong. I think that'll be really cool.
I think like to speak to the ultimate point of it, which is to give each of the elements more of an identity on their own and a purpose to invest in each. I think we're definitely already down that road, because the solar with the incandescent perk and all of that, I mean, I'm not the most invested person in the world in terms of gun perks. Normally, I'm very simple. I go for things like Rampage or Kill Clip because I understand what they do and I understand what they mean. But if I can get my head around something like Incandescent and go and see the value in it, then I think, even someone new to the game probably can as well. So, and that may well pique, their interest in understanding the more or the less obvious in terms of impacts of perks and whatnot. If I've worded that even remotely correctly.
Yeah, so when the Arc 3.0 perk comes out, then you'll be able to do that with all of the subclasses, which is a cool thing.
Yeah, and look how Jolt fits into your build.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Holy crap! I'm
Here's an interesting one. With Solar and Void and people's reactions to that. How do you deal with the knee-jerk reaction sometimes of the Destiny community? How does it help? How does it hinder? How does it make your life a bit more stressful? What's your, especially in the context of there's been some pretty legitimate threats towards Bungie and employees, and you've taken the time to come on the podcast. We appreciate that, and it definitely rewards a lot of the fans of the game that are doing the right thing, and it's awesome. But a lot of people are stepping back from this kind of communication because people are misbehaving. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, for real though, if we'd had this a month ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to come on. Is the reality of the situation. As there are legitimate safety issues, and but people will say, oh, it's just people having fun. It's probably not serious. Yeah, it probably isn't. But 1 in 1,000 of those threats is real. You don't take that chance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that right before a season is the ideal time to do it. Because
people
the information's still out there. Yeah, people are excited. And there's just lots of stuff to talk about, which is cool. But as to how the response affects our work generally, I think there's always really good data from whatever people are saying. It's easy to get really in your head about it though. I read an unhealthy amount of Reddit. I have no social media presence at all, but I read a ton of Reddit. I read a lot of Twitter. I watch a lot of YouTube, just to try and wrap my head around how those different areas of the community feel about what we're doing. And sometimes there's that knee-jerk thing where I'm like, no, we should have done this thing. Quick, let's put a change together and see if we can help fix it. And then maybe you sit on it for a couple of weeks, and then people figure out what's going on, or maybe it's not as broken as you thought it was, and you don't need to nerf it immediately.
So does sort of individuals bring it to a group meeting if you're seeing something like that, or do you take time out of your normal? Is this you looking at Reddit when you get home, or is this a part of your work day to go, let's have a look at what is being said in the community, and take some time to look at Reddit and YouTube and Twitter and that kind of thing.
I see that as part of my job.
Yeah.
Particularly on TWAB day, like I will be like looking at Destiny Reddit like an hour after a weapons TWAB goes up, trying to see how everyone's reacting to it, or like what stuff needs further explanation, or if there are any
That sounds like
mistakes in
torture.
it.
All right. Sounds awful.
It is fatiguing, but it's also like it's sometimes really good
Especially because
when
it's
people
part of
aren't
your
being
job
too serious.
too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I have a task allocated to me to do it. I just think it makes the weapon sandbox better if we understand what's going on. And there's only so much information that the community managers can provide us, because they've got like 1,000 people at the studio who care about what's going on, and like only some amount of that is weapon specific. So
Yeah, so
we
you
get
try
a
to
lot
dig
through.
out what's relevant to you, and then you say you probably go check the data and see if it's actually something that's coming up in your data sets, so you should act on it or not.
Yeah, so we will look at sentiment, and then we'll see whether the data validates the sentiment, and then we'll playtest stuff and see whether there's actually a problem there. It's like occasionally a gun's usage will spike, and it'll just be like, oh, well, Astacross just did a video about that, so that makes sense. And then
Right.
it dies down after. Or you'd look at how popular a weapon is versus how effective it is. And like something will be super, super popular and see it everywhere, but like the people are dying more often when they're using that gun than when they're using something else, right?
To springboard off of that, have you ever seen anything where the sentiment in the community has been entirely misplaced? Like people will, the perception, because someone, and like, not to throw Cross under the bus because he's an absolute gem of a bloke, but if he was to communicate something that was like not particularly on the money and influence a whole heap of people, and the perception becomes, wow, this is really strong. Do you ever see that and go, oh, hang on, we know that that's not the case. Does that happen? And do you laugh about it?
Yeah, I can think of like two examples. Like one was fairly big and one was fairly small. But when we halved the like recoil reduction that mouse and keyboards gets compared to controller, and we mentioned that in a TWAB, and everyone thought, like, we tried to couch it in terms like, well, we've playtested this and it actually feels fine. But a large segment of the community thought that it was going to ruin mouse and keyboard forever. And then the changes came out, and most people were like, oh, actually, I couldn't tell the difference. This seems all right.
Such a storm in a teacup.
And the other funny one was when we foolishly put slide shot on ignition code. And there was like a brief period where people were just memeing on it and like firing out a whole bunch of grenades back to back during the one slide and that kind of thing. And then it just sank. Like people were like talking about it for a month, and like usage that just then dropped way off.
Just fizzled away.
But no, you can never tell.
Do you think that's just people sort of lose interest in it, or is it just that it's not quite the? I mean, I genuinely use an ignition code with slide shot on it. I just I don't know. I never grew out of it. I suppose I'm stuck in my ways. But
here's a philosophical question for you, because you've been making games for many moons now, right?
Yeah,
18 years you said on DCP.
Oh, it'll be 22 years. So like 19 as a designer now.
With the way that sort of game development is now, there is obviously a lot of ability for the consumer to express feedback, whether that is very ragey or actual legitimate feedback to the developer. Compared with probably when you started, when it wasn't really that, you probably sit down, people either bought the game, they play the game, you look at the stats and you go, yeah, we made a good game. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, what's the difference? And like, how do you feel about that, where it is now?
I mean, I think overall it's in a better place now. Like you have actually like one of the things that I like about working on Destiny compared to say working on a 6-year AAA project box product kind of thing is I can have an idea, put it into the game, and it ships 3 months later, and I find out what people think about it. And so you have this, like by AAA standards, it's a really short feedback loop, which I think lets you improve designs.
Try a lot of things. Yeah, right.
Whereas if you're looking at the same thing for 6 years without any external contact, it's really easy to get in your own head and like keep, fiddling with it when maybe it's already good enough.
Yeah,
So
right.
interesting thing about like the online interactions with stuff. Like my first job in the games industry, I was playing this game called Warlord's Battlecry, back in, would have been 99 or something. And I was just reading up forums on the games. Like when I'm playing a game, I just like dig into it and like try and find out everything I can. And I noticed one of the developers posting on this bulletin board, and I like sent him a private message on the bulletin board and say, "Hey, wow, like you actually live in my home city. Do you have any jobs going?" And he said, "Yeah, actually." And so I just got my first job off the back of sending someone a bulletin board message in.
Wait, this is your law. This is your OG law. This is how you got into
Yeah.
game development. Wait, so
Yeah.
what's the game called?
The game was called, like the series was called Warlords. It's like
Yep.
this,
Warlords.
this like 30-year storied franchise all developed in Australia by this, it was at the time, this company called SSG. And they've since vanished. But I guess they're still around, but they're doing much smaller projects now.
So what was the first thing you did for the company?
So he said, yeah, like in a few months we're going to be hiring programmers and 3D artists. And I had an electrical engineering background, so a bunch of programming. My first job out of uni was as a programmer. But I'd been messing around a lot with 3D modeling packages and was actually really enjoying that, and said, "Oh, do you have any art jobs going?" He said, "Yeah," and so it sent me an art test. And somehow I muddled through it and passed the art test, which is a bunch of nonsense.
Look at me, I'm an artist.
Exactly.
How hard can it be?
It turns out that if you just do that a lot, you can turn
Practice.
out something that's half decent. Yeah, so I made I did 2D terrain art for strategy games and like some bit of 3D modeling, rigging, and animation, like just bits of everything. Because I was one of 2 artists at the studio. But then after that job, it's like, man, I am much better at design than I am at art. So since the second job,
I didn't want to make fun of engineers, but I've got a family of engineers and none of them are good at art.
Yeah, you're the anomaly,
Yeah, I mean, it's a
right?
stereotype for a reason.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, I think it's probably a lot harder to get into game development now, would you say?
Yeah, like when you're talking to students and this kind of thing, and they're like hoping to get some tips on how to get into the industry, and they say, "Well, how did you get into the industry?" I'm like, "Well, I did an electrical engineering degree, and then I taught myself some 3D art, and then I messaged someone on a bulletin board." There's no way that works anymore. So I have to say, well, this is how I got into the industry, but like maybe get yourself a game design degree and build up a portfolio of work and
Start building stuff, right? Start
right,
doing.
yeah, that's always the advice now.
It just goes
Yeah.
to
You
show
need
how
you need
quick
to
it's
show that you
changed.
build stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
like there weren't even games degrees when I was at uni.
I mean, what vintage is that? We're talking like, God, Duke Nukem sort of era.
90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
In the
remember
90s.
playing Doom and Quake in the university computer labs.
What? Misspent education PCs. I think we've all been there. What was the first game? If you look back, what was the game that made you want to even begin to go down this road? Was it Warlords, or was it was the seed planted earlier than that?
So yeah, I mean, Warlords had a map editor, and so I would
Yep.
like make strategy game maps of Middle Earth and that kind of thing, and like reskin the races to be Gondor and Mirkwood Isles and that kind of stuff. Like I got the spark to be involved in games somehow much earlier. Like my first games were on Commodore 64. Actually, the first console I ever owned was an Xbox, like original Xbox, because I really wanted to play Halo. But we never had consoles growing up. It was all like Commodore 64 and then an Amiga and then like
Yep.
PCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some more technical questions. I don't know if we want to ask technical questions if you feel like going over some stuff, but we had a couple of questions about some enhanced perks and how you're feeling about enhanced perks at the moment, and maybe weapon crafting. Talk to that at all?
Yeah. So the way those interact is pretty interesting because like we're not going to have every weapon in the game craftable. Like that's not the intent of the system.
Yeah.
But we wanted there to be a real draw to weapon crafting, and part of that is enhanced perks. But because regular, like random rolled weapons have to compete with crafted weapons, we don't want to make the enhanced traits too strong. So they're like, the guideline is they can be 5 to 10% stronger in some in some way than the base perk. So it'll be like, if the duration is 5 seconds, maybe it can go to 5.5 seconds, or 6 seconds. Or if the effect is it gives plus 20 stability, then it can give you, maybe plus 25 or something like that. We'll like fudge the numbers a little bit case by case. But
How do
we
you?
found that even a fairly small increase is enough to really motivate people. It's sort of a similar thing to adept weapons, right? Like adept weapons are probably 2% more powerful than the base weapons. But as soon as an adept weapon comes out, people see that the base weapons are garbage and they only want adepts now.
I think it's largely a psychological thing, right? Like if you know that
Yeah.
there's something, it's just that tiny little bit. I think the other part of like leaning into craftable weapons is, in my instance, right, the one that I chased last season, the Callus mini tool, it is knowing that at the end of the day you're going to be able to get the role that you want, right? Like that for me is more the inherent value. So I think even if there were no enhanced perks, I still see a value in them.
Yeah, I think so we wanted to make sure that it was there was a reason to do it. But I think that you're right, and that the deterministic route to getting the exact weapon that you want is a really important driver. Like I think that's why, for example, you see Austringer like all over PvP all the time, and like 80% of those weapons are the crafted versions, because you can just get that deterministic thing.
How do you feel weapon crafting has been received in general? Do you think is it met your expectations? Like from a stats wise, with how many people are crafting weapons, do you think it needs a bit more work still? Do you think it's sort of in the right spot where people should only be crafting a couple weapons, or something that really is an outliner? Like, what are your thoughts in general with the weapon crafting system?
Yeah, so it's not where we want it to be. Like we're making improvements every season, and we've got like more overhauls to stuff coming later down the line. So we're definitely still working on it. I do think though it was received pretty much as well as we wanted it to. The thing with it is that if it had been received really well, it probably would have been a sign that we'd screwed something up. Because like if everyone was like, "Yeah, I came in and I crafted all the weapons I wanted on day one," it's like, "Ah, damn it! Well, we just blew the whole chase, didn't we?" So
Yeah,
like if
the whole
people were really happy right away, that wouldn't have been a good sign. I think like we're dialing that stuff in. Like some of it's a bit extreme, but I think it's in roughly the place we wanted to in terms of duration of chase and that kind of thing.
Yeah, do you
I
have
do
like a
think like
template in your like internally in your head about, okay, like raid crafted weapons, maybe that's always going to be a thing, and maybe there's a couple things like the hand cannon or stringer, is going to be really strong, so people might craft that all for the PvE players, Callus mini tool, and then everything else is maybe just for the collectors, and then above that is your RNG's stronger, like technically, or like maybe there's better perk combos on stuff that's going to randomly drop to keep people going into the playlists.
Yeah, that's something that you'll notice with perk pools of the weapons in general. Like there was some concern internally that because enhanced perks are technically better, like they are, they're absolutely better. It's only a relatively small amount, but it's enough. So we had to make sure that like we're not going to let you craft trials weapons anytime in the near future. So we needed to make sure that the trials weapons were still desirable, and that's largely stats and perk combinations.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the duration of chase and like how we arrived at that stuff, what we wanted was for players to spend somewhere the same ballpark of time that they would to get a god roll, but deterministically, so there's no randomness. Like where if you were chasing a god roll from, I don't know, like say you're trying to get an adept palindrome or something, you could run 1,000 strikes and not get the exact roll that you wanted, or you could get the roll you wanted on your first strike, and both of those are bad results from our point of view. Like we want you to invest something into getting the weapon. But with crafting, we can make sure that you're never going to be totally screwed out of getting the exact thing that you want. Like you'll definitely get there once you've got the pattern for it. I think we ended up saying like total length of chase is like half or a third the time of a random rolled weapon or something like that.
Right.
And I think for the raid weapons that you mentioned, like how long do you figure people played Deepstone Crypt or like Vault of Glass until they were sort of done with the raid?
Oh, I don't know. I think Log and I probably sit outside.
Yeah,
we've never really
we're on the
been
low
like
end.
collectors. We've been, it's close enough. It's good enough. And I also prioritize. I'm definitely at the point in my Destiny playtime where I just do activities that I enjoy now because I don't have the energy to be grumpy about playing games at the time, to be grumpy and doing a grind that I just don't want to do. So
I'll say this, right? And here's probably the analogy. I did shitloads of vaults because I had in my mind what I wanted. I wanted an Osmosis Fatebringer, right? And I never got it. To this day, I never got it. So
I finally got my one of those like a month ago.
I don't know. And I had this whole build set up, like my old Solar build before Solar 3.0 came around, and it was sort of like it was my stand-in for Sunshot, right? Because I wanted Firefly and I wanted Osmosis so that I could give it the, throw a grenade, effectively make it a solar weapon. So I never got it, but I think I've probably done that more and walked away like kind of disappointed that I didn't get it. I mean, look, one day I'll get back to it. It's like everything in Destiny. But with VOW, with sort of being able to, I can't remember the name of the linear fusion, but it was sort of like, it was the big ticket item. Like if you don't have a Reed's Regret, go and get this because it's an excellent stand-in, and then you can craft it and you can effectively build yourself a god roll. I know that my motivation to raid was more consistent because I could seek that out, and I knew that I could get to the end and I'd be able to get my red bar, pick whichever one I wanted and all of that, and even still now, I mean, like we've sort of, Matty and I have done the thing where we sort of step away from Destiny for a little bit. Matt's gone and had a child, and I've been super busy with work, so we're sort of.
And I'm sick of Destiny. I'm gonna go have a kid.
Yeah. Look, just for relaxing, and I really need to involve some steam. I'm going to go and have my
child's less toxic than Destiny.
And he screams as much as Destiny Reddit. But I still want to get into VOW because like I've been on the wrong end of some really nasty submissions in PvP, and I'm like, well, I know that I could go in and build myself one if I put the time into it. So I think it's valuable. Like, I mean, I don't know. Vault's kind of an anomaly because it's my favorite raid and I want to do it anyway. So I definitely lent into it. And when it was farmable, I was in there doing that. But in terms of the entire chase through, I think I've probably done more vows. I don't know. I'd have to have a look. I'm probably wrong.
Personally, I actually like the weapon farming in dungeons. I think they're a nice medium for me because you don't need to get 6 people together to do them. You can often do them with just 2 people as well, and you can farm the encounters. I think that's like my favorite time in Destiny is doing dungeons, and that's where I enjoy spending my time, just from the mechanic point of view and from the reward point of view. You get armor, you get weapons, you do master, you get the artifice armor. So yeah, that's where I spend a lot of my time.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think for raids, like we just want the acquisition of crafted weapons to keep players interested for as long as the like random drops would have been. I think it ends up being a bit less. If you're a completionist and you want every god roll from Vault of Glass, you're probably still doing it, right? Like, if you want a god roll of every weapon from VOW, you can do that in like a bit over a season. If you're doing it every week on every character and getting through and farming it.
I do enjoy the different ways. I don't know what's best yet because there's been a couple different things that happen with like guaranteed red borders. You got a way of getting guaranteed red border in VOW, and then guaranteed red border with this season was once a week when you upgrade your
the helm upgrades,
Crown of Sorrow. Like that's something that I've just been plugging away at to get my Callous mini tool. Sure, it's slower than if I just grinded it, but as someone who I didn't really want to spend all my time in the seasonal activity, like it felt nice to be able to just once a week know I can go pick up a red border and then I'll eventually have that mini tool,
I think those sorts of ways of mitigating RNG are really important in this kind of a system, because otherwise you've got the same problem that you did before, right?
Like you're just grinding for red borders, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think we'll see some like further ways of mitigating the RNG in future seasons. Like it won't be season 18, but we've got some things coming up which should make like getting that first acquisition a little less RNG.
Yeah, getting the timing right for it.
Yeah.
Can I ask like just one massive overarching question, because it comes back to something that Matt and I discuss a little bit on the podcast, and we kind of have this. I mean, Matt and I look. I'm not disparaging anyone in saying this, but Matt and I take sort of Destiny and its balance probably less serious than half of this community's population. So for us, when something is like clearly the powerful thing, we gravitate towards it to use it, but also don't get as upset about it when we're on the wrong end of it. You know, the really good submission role being, you know, an example that I've found myself on the wrong end of lately.
Or like Omnioculus. I'm just crutching at Omnioculus right now until it gets slammed. I'm like, you know what? Great. Like I've made a void build with it, and otherwise I might not be using this, and then I'll move on to the next meta. And I definitely, like Log said, I think I'm at the point where like this is space magic. This is Destiny. Like there's always going to be something that rises to the top. So, you know, what's your definition of balance in Destiny?
Yeah, and like, is it always going to be like whack-a-mole there's always going to be an outlier, I'm convinced. And because this was what we spoke about last week on the podcast, and we said, I reckon you could go back every single season, no matter how, like all the way back to Destiny 1, to the start of dawn of everything, and there would always be a weapon that either rightly or wrongly, the perception was, well, that's the meta because it's stronger. And like, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and other people do. So I'd be interested to see what you think of it, giving it being the man, right? Like,
yeah, like we're not aiming for everything to be perfectly balanced. We just want like every weapon type or every exotic weapon to be, like we would say, viable in some big chunk of the game. So like, it's okay if there's a weapon that's only useful in PvP. It's okay if there are weapons that are strong everywhere, as long as you have a reason to run all of the things we build. We'll be happy, and we're not there yet. Obviously, like there's a bunch of low liars, but what we've found is that a really really strong overpowered weapon just crushes the like player choice in the game. Like everyone just has to run that thing, and that's not healthy. Like we're okay with stuff having a bit of time in the sun. Like you can have a hard light meta for 3 weeks or whatever, or like something can be hot for a season if it's not too busted. But yeah, it's like really about making sure that you can run most things and not feel like you're making a mistake by doing that.
Right. Because it's interesting when you look at Destiny as a, you know, MMO. I guess it brands itself as an MMO or MMO light. And MMO PvP is really about an unfair advantage, right? Like if you spend more time, you should have an advantage over your opponent. And there's obviously a huge amount of aspects of that in Destiny, which is like you spend more time grinding for the god roll, you know, you will have an advantage. How big it is depends on also skill level, like in the Crucible or you know, in PvP. So that's always how I think about it. And it's interesting when there's a big conversation about everything trying to be balanced or getting close to being balanced. Like, well, I don't think PvP people want that either. I think they want not everybody to have access to
what
you know, like Omnioculus or like Lord of Wolves, right? Exotics are actually easy to acquire. I think sometimes that makes it an issue when they're really strong. But when you have like God Roll that's strong, you go spend a lot of hours to it, then you actually only get the top level guys using it, which is also not healthy either. So like, I don't know. I don't envy you.
Yeah, it's like there's an interesting thing there where, say you had like a God rolled fusion rifle a year ago, like, you know, under pressure, high impact reserves, took it into Crucible, you wrecked house with it.
Yep.
Those weren't common, so like people didn't complain about it all that much.
Yeah.
But then Xur sold a
Main
God roll
ingredient.
main ingredient like 3
I was
weeks
going to
in a
ask
row.
this.
And suddenly they're everywhere, right? Like you look at
Who does that? Who did that? Who decides what Xur gets?
It's legitimately completely random. Like I don't know how that kept happening. I actually
Really?
like I went and checked and made sure that was actually the case, but it's totally random.
It wasn't some intern going, boys, watch this.
Yeah, some men funny. Just want to watch the world burn. Give everyone the... Right. I thought of that actually with, was it 2 weeks ago when Xur finally sold the definitive roll, Dead Man's Tale? I went and grabbed one and I thought like this could be egregious. This could be everywhere, but it's not been. So I'm happy to see that.
So what? Yeah. So sorry, we cut you off there. So Xur obviously bumps up how many players have a god roll, and then that weapon that sort of becomes an issue now, or that archetype, or that fusion rifles are now like, then maybe they need to be balanced more.
I think like rarity of really powerful versions of an item are fine. Like it's okay if someone's spent the time and they've got this great roll, or they got a bit lucky and they take it.
That's the fantasy of it, right? Is to get
it
that.
Is a bit, yeah. But also what you find is like if you give someone a god roll and you send them against a PvP player with a blue hand cannon who's better than them, the more skilled player will still win, right? Like thumb skill is very, very important. Like the good gear will give you an edge, but it doesn't compensate completely for skill, which is
I mean, I've proved that every day.
I mean, you're talking to two talking examples of that.
I'm using no time to explain Omni Oculus Void build, and I'm still mid board.
That Cammy makes it look so easy.
I know. Oh man, it's one of those things.
It's annoying.
There's that element of trepidation whenever I watch a build. Right, I watch a build video, and normally with PvE stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, I understand this, I can do this. But when it comes back to like PvP and leaning into things, I'm like, yeah, but in the moment, am I going to be good enough to pull that off? Like, sure, technically, all of this wonderful world is possible, and it's like there's an element of that looking at the Arc 3.0 stuff too. Is the like I can't wait to zap around the map and get heaps of kills and all this, and I'm like that'll probably happen once, Luke. Like,
it's pretty technical. It's a bit like that slide shot ignition code, right? Like the people get really, really excited about the maximum potential of a thing, but most people like if there's some really like if there's a lot of tech involved in getting the thing to work for you, then most people will never be able to exploit it. Just an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's kind
of like the whole like having different skill levels and having this a game where players can acquire powerful items and then take those into PvP. Like it really does remind you that we kind of throw new players to the wolves a bit, and we shouldn't be doing that so much. Like in PvP or PvE, like it's the onboarding thing. And like letting those two pools be a bit separate.
I think it obviously gets more complicated when you start looking at stats as well now, and armor resistance or damage resistance and things that are built into your armor stats, and it's like, man, you just literally click on Crucible if you're a new player. You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. I kind of like whenever I see like a newbie in Crucible, you kind of like God bless you, like good luck, because it is, I'm out there struggling and you're in my game, so like God help you.
How long do we have? I think it's been an hour or so.
Yeah, it has. I think it might be just about time.
We should ask the most important question, which is, when is the Nutbush emote arriving, Chris?
So, actually, like I talked to this guy, Ben, who's on my team, who's responsible for putting emotes in. And I suggested to him, hey, look, here's a video of this dance. Maybe you should put that in as an emote.
Yeah. What was the reaction?
He promised to take a look at it.
That sounds like he flagged out. What's that, Ben?
That sounds like me messaging Matt about anything. Yeah, I'll get to it. And then I'm busy.
Yeah, it could happen.
How does emotes, like, is there a team that just look after emotes, and do people just like suggest crazy? There's like a box in Bungie's HQ, and you just like drop in a suggestion for emotes. Then they're like, okay, that's cool. Or is it?
Yeah. So for like armor ornaments and weapon ornaments and emotes, there are a bunch of different like brainstorming channels which anyone in the studio can just join and throw out ideas.
Cool.
So yeah, we get quite a large pool of ideas, and then whoever the primary stakeholder is on the team like picks and chooses from those.
Cool.
So yeah, like it's basically for the emotes, I think it's only like a couple of people who really do all of the content for that. It's like an animator and a VFX artist.
So all we need to do is every time we get a dev on, just keep convincing them to put the note in Nutbush when we need the
Nutbush city limit. There we go.
Every time.
Man, I saw the when I was looking over the Twitch chat logs for firing range, and there was one point where a whole bunch of like DDU people just descended on the chat, and it was just like pages and pages of Nutbush.
I mean, is
I
that really?
Sort of screenshot of it.
Is that it? Is that the crowning moment? Because that's like the DCP DDU crossover point is the Nutbush.
The Nutbush, yeah.
It is.
And us growing up thinking it was like this big American phenomena, and then we get to the point where no one over there even knows what the fuck it is. It's just a thing we do.
I don't know how
school.
this like Tina Turner song became so iconically Australian, but like we did that when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Everyone knows it. I'm not going to do it now because for God's sake,
No.
I'm like,
I mean, it was like a 50,000 channel like charity reward when we did the Nutbush with DC.
Fantastic.
Don't give it away for free, mate. Right.
right.
Chris, do you have anything we didn't speak about? I mean, you did have firing range. I don't know if there's anything you want to address from there that you saw come up, or anything in general you want to give people hints, anything that we can just promo, say DDU's better. This is what Chris told us on DDU. This massive exotic's coming, huge poggers.
We can say something completely uninteresting, and then I'll just put a huge beep over it, and we'll act like we told something important.
Great. Yeah, just like beep every other word.
Yeah. I mean, you're Australian, so who knows what it could be.
I have to watch my mouth a bit around Americans.
True.
Yeah, so like when you posted the anyone got any questions for this? Like there were a ton of technical questions that came up, which are obviously not appropriate for this podcast. But I think probably what we'll do is like go over the firing range questions that didn't make it and the DDU ones and like other community sourced ones. You remember a while ago we did like just a TWAB that was a weapons Q&A. Basically like we found a bunch of questions on the internet. And we'll probably just put that up. Like it's a better use of time than me like opening up the game data and reading it out to people or whatever live.
I think people would get a massive amount out of that. And I think that like if you can get enough to do it from what we've done already in terms of firing line and here and anywhere else, but it's sort of explicitly discussed on Reddit rather than openly soliciting questions. Because I imagine if Bungie were to do that, it would be like trying to drink from a like fire hose. It would just be bullshit.
Oh yeah, way better off just gathering them from where people are already asking. If someone like wants to collate those questions, send them my way.
There you go. It's on you guys now. Collate them and we'll send them on.
There you go. I'll happily do that. I'd be honored.
Awesome.
All right. Finally, I don't know. I mean, there's probably not. But Chris, is there anything that you would like to ask us after we've sort of kind of picked you? But I don't feel like we've gone too hard on you, given the firing range maths lessons that you often get. But
like you go on massive breakdowns and people correct you on the game data stuff. It's pretty fun.
I can't imagine having your job, man. I can't imagine turning up and saying, "Here's something I did," and people being like, "No, that's not what you did," and then they're right.
Actually, it's not his.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, people are pretty okay with it when you like go, oops, actually you're right. Like people like it when you say they're right about something.
I've never had that. I've never experienced that. So,
dude, I don't know. So if you were to make a gun themed over something Australian or named after something Australian, what would it be? What would it do?
I did have a lot of ideas. We were joking for a while that we were going to go to PAX and do a panel about like Australian like themed exotics, like a Ned Kelly's helmet that just meant you couldn't be headshot, but you took more damage everywhere else.
Yeah.
Or something like
triple damage if someone shoots you in the legs.
Something like that. Or like a pair of double pluggers that you could walk over any hot surface in the game. You'd be immune to like what's the Witherhoard pools because you've got your pluggers on, right?
Radiolarian. You just
just stand on it. I'm impervious because I've got my hot sand effect. Oh, a gun. Oh.
I did this exercise yesterday as part of the last segment on the quiz, but we did a Arc 3.0 with Australian spin, and Luke, one of Astacross's editors, did the boomerang barrage, and it's like throwing knives but boomerangs, and if they don't hit, they come back. It just like gives you some super energy back.
I like that. I like that.
That's actually really fun. Yeah, I think we could probably build that as well. Like have projectiles that go out in a circle, and if they hit something, you don't get it back, and if they miss, you have to position yourself so you can catch it. Right, otherwise it just goes
to
past.
catch something as it comes back. Because I mean, you got the Titan shield that obviously has got the ricochets and bounces, but nothing that necessarily loops back to you. Imagine someone standing behind something and you loop and that would be so annoying. You just
someone's behind a Titan shield, right? And you can get the boomerang to go around the edge of the shield. Yeah,
but I have one condition, and only because it's an Australian thing, that you need to push a button right as it comes back. Whatever, it could be the throw button again to catch it, or it'll knock your head off. There's got to be risk reward, right? Like, I'm going to throw this, and if I get distracted, it will drill me in the back of the head, and I will die.
Like that kid out of Mad Max, right? The one with the
true.
Like the bladed boomerang.
Yeah, that was right. Exactly that. Yeah, I think
no res.
As for
it was actually a version of Osteostriga that was kind of like that, like where you could target something with the weapon and then aim off screen, and the bullets would like curve out and then come around, follow them around corners. It was really annoying.
Ooh, I don't know. What about a gun? And I know that this is, I mean, I guess it's a bit like Colony, but a grenade launcher that shoots swooping magpies.
Oh God!
So instead of going down and crawling around, I mean,
like dive bomb.
Yeah, like, but they'll kind of like circle and then. But if you
these are like all weapons that already exist. We just replace them with straight.
Yeah, I know. But like, no, hang on. I've got an idea for an exotic, and then we'll do an exotic that's got it's a stack hat with eyes painted on the back.
Yep.
And it makes you immune. Right?
You have like eyes painted on, and then the zip ties through the holes.
Yeah, zip ties through the holes, and then you're sweet. You don't have to worry about it. I don't know. I think I'm onto something. Holy shit.
The Americans won't know what's going on now.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Man, I lived in Canberra when I worked at 2K Australia for like a couple of years, and I used to ride my bike to work. And on the way to work, it was always the swooping magpies, and you have to remember where they're nesting and avoid those, like pick other streets. And then on the way back, if it was dusk, like there were all these kangaroos on the bike track.
Yeah,
you have to like go on roads and stuff.
Do you have any Australian themed perks or weapons or anything that you want to share?
I think
anything upcoming. I don't think we put any in season 18. There was just there were those couple in Witch Queen and the one in season 17.
I think
I'm gonna have to find more opportunities.
Funnel Web was a beautiful moment because I mean it is incredible, and like by far my favorite gun of recent memory for PvP, because it's, I don't know, the range on it just feels like wild for me, for the gun that it is. But it's also something that like I used to find in my pool filter, and it comes back to I used to have a jar when I back in the living at home with the folks, and we had a jar that had like little, because funnel webs are, I mean, I don't know if you're in the States, go and Google what a funnel web spider is. They are the thing here. Like, I'm not worried about snakes. Everyone talks about Australia with snakes. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the spider. And the funnel web as a spider, for whatever reason, right? Its venom only affects higher primates. And there are no higher primates native to Australia. Yep. So you don't have to worry about them with your dog or anything like that. They won't hurt your dog, but they will make you very, very sick, if not kill you.
Really?
So, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I wonder who... It seems a very, very malicious way to evolve funnel webs.
I mean, so what I'm hearing from this is Chris is going to go away. He's going to make a new funnel web perk that only affects hunters or titans, maybe. Right? Because then it goes to 8.
Wait, which one of them is the higher life form?
Wait. Warlocks then. No,
it's not Titans. It's not. All right. Well, we might wrap up there, but we are super appreciative of your time, Chris. It's been great to come on and have a chat. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot. I guess we'll find out in a few days when we release it whether anyone else did. So.
Oh, look, everyone will be caught up playing the game anyway, so it won't matter.
Look, and I mean, what is it? Volt shot or jolt shot? I'm calling it now. I'm gunning for that perk. I'm going to find out how to get my hands on it.
I can't remember what the dev name is. It's one of those. One of them's the dev name, one of them's the shipping name. And I kind of wish we'd named the base perk something else so it was more obvious.
Jolt.
Except then it probably would have shipped.
Jolt. look for it.
I think it must be the Arc 3.0 verb is Jolt, so it must be Jolt Shot, right?
It would make sense unless they're trying to be arty about it, and then it will be Volt Shot.
Yeah, we should just do that. Here's the dev name the shipping name thing.
Call it trampoline spring static or something, so that they can't run with it. Electric shock from fence. Oh.
And then 6 months later, the perk is in the game.
Yeah, and then it's electric shock from fence. All right. Thank you very much for coming on and being giving of your time on a Friday evening for you. It has been a pleasure. Maddie, you got anything you'd like to say in closing?
I don't know why. Get a VB up, yeah.
Yes, VB.
VB, not Foster's. No one here drinks Foster's.
Don't touch that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's
No.
that's why we export it to everywhere else in the world, because no one here drinks it.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Coopers, actually.
I guess enjoy. Hopefully, when you see this, I hope you've enjoyed the showcase. I hope you're enjoying Arc 3.0. I hope you're getting your raid prep done. I think there'll be a lot of hype, a lot of excitement in the community. So, hope you're having a good time if you're listening to this at home.
Yeah, always good to talk Destiny with Aussies. I don't get the chance to do that very often.
Well, we'll have to make a habit out of it.
Too many NDAs, so thanks for coming on. I think we'll be able to have you back.
I think we've been really good. I mean, look. I mean, the other thing is like for
there's a bit of
the other thing is like, and if you know the Australian Destiny community, Fez is listening in on this call, and she's also there's a hill over there, and she's got a sniper rifle. Like she's perched up there just in case things got out of hand. So we were safe the whole time. There you go. Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Chris. And like, let's get hyped up for the new weapons coming with what season is it? 18? Oh no, I'm lost track.
Season 18.
Hell yeah.
18.
Watch out.
Let's go.
Watch out for that really, really silly auto rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I'm gonna cut it off right there. There you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Proctor. I mean, a monster interview, wrapping up a monster episode of the DDU, the recap, and all of that good stuff. Maddie, I think it's about time you and I got out of here, despite the fact we haven't done anything for the last hour except sit around and watch ourselves talk to Chris Proctor after the fact. But do you have any closing comments? Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Fueled by excitement for the future of Destiny. Man, like, I'm more excited about Lightfall at the moment than I am this season.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Yeah, I'll give you that.
It is, the Destiny universe is just opened up.
It's blossoming. It's
a
blossoming.
flower.
And on that, I don't know, stunning visual, we'll leave you. Stand by for a raid and, have a good night. Go and play the game. I don't even know why you've been here watching this nonsense. Go play the game.
I'm going to go play the game.
I'm going to go play the game. All right, we're out of here. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.